Hey, where am I here? Oh, hey. I don't seem to have any audio on me. Wait a minute. Hello? Wait a minute. Hello? Oh, there I am. Okay, I do have audio there. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had audio. It was weird. Didn't look like I had audio for a minute. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dave McRae here. This is episode 203 of McRae Live. It is, the Thursday, January the 20th, 2022. It is 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And this is going to be an interesting show tonight. A long time coming. We couldn't get everybody on the show that we wanted to. We were going to have a whole party with like 7 or 8 people. But of course, everybody's schedules are a bit different. And there's a few people that had things pop up and things like that. So, but I was able to get at least three of our associate producers with It's Me, Billy, which of course was one of the perks on our Indiegogo campaign. There was a perk there, a McRae Live perk, and if you there was that perk specifically, but if you became an associate producer, which was one of the higher tiers, that also became part of something that you got. So that's really cool. And 7 people became associate producers, and I have 3 of them on today, and we're going to talk It's Me, Billy. We're going to talk Halloween. We're going to talk horror. If you guys have any questions, we're going to do that as well. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let me move over to the other screen now and introduce you all to Rob Thidoff, Chris Stengel, and Theo, Real Reveal Theo. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing? What's happening?
Doing good.
Great.
Good.
Awesome. Amazing. So Rob, you're in the top left. Chris, you're in the top right. And Theo, you are next to me on the bottom left. Great to have you guys here. Really appreciate it. This has been a long time coming. I know we've been sort of juggling the schedules around over the last couple of months. Let's start with, I love that, Rob, you have the signed poster behind you in the back. That's pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself.
Bob framed that, so.
Amazing. It looks great. I'm so glad it arrived in one piece. Also, let me just do a bit of an update here. So many Blu-rays have gone out. There are also still many more to go. We are working on that as we speak, so we appreciate your patience. All T-shirts have been sent out, so everybody who is entitled to a T-shirt should have received one. All hoodies have been sent out. Same thing. Everybody who was entitled to a hoodie should have received one. All signed posters have been sent out. All director scripts have been sent out. 2 of the signed, 2 signed screen used phones were sent out to our EPs. There are still 3 replica signed phones to go. Almost all the digital perks have been fulfilled, which is great. There's still some posters to go. The Blu-rays, of course, we have to finish those off. There's several hundred more to go. It's a process. We appreciate your patience. And of course, what else? There's something else I was going to say. And the winter hats, or as we like to say here in Canada, toques. The toques, the winter hats, the beanies, they still have to be sent out as well if you've not received those yet. So again, it's a process. We appreciate your patience. I did send out an update today on the Indiegogo campaign, so look out for that if you have not seen it. So, gentlemen, whereabouts are you? Well, Theo, I know where you are. You're down the road from me in Peterborough, right?
That's right.
That's right. So, Rob, whereabouts? I mean, I know where you are, but tell the people where you are.
I am at Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Have you been to a Blue Jackets game?
I have. I'm not a hockey fan, but once they came to Columbus, you had to go to a game. So they did make the playoffs a couple years. I think it was last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they finally had a series. They actually beat Tampa Bay a couple years ago. But they're constantly struggling. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Even I know they're not the greatest hockey franchise right now. So
Well, I mean, Rob, that's like my Buffalo Sabres. I mean, you know, I'm Canadian. I live here in Toronto. I'm not a Leafs fan. I like the Leafs. Longest drought, I think, in all the professional sports in terms of winning a championship. It used to be the Chicago Cubs, and then they won. And now I think it's the Leafs. The Leafs have not won the Stanley Cup since 1967. So it's just insane to think that. So, you know, I don't not like the Leafs. I don't mind the Leafs, but the Buffalo Sabres have been my favorite team since the 80s. They've never won the Stanley Cup, and they have been dog shit for the last 10 years. So I just kind of watch kind of on the sidelines at the moment. Chris, where are you, my man? How's it going?
That's going good. I'm in Las Vegas.
Ooh, Las Vegas. I've never been to Las Vegas.
Formerly from Ohio. So yeah. I'm originally from not too far from where Rob is, actually. So, and I am still a Blue Jackets fan, and yes, they generally always stink. So.
And I just noticed now, because you leaned back, that you are also wearing your It's Me Billy hoodie. Amazing. I didn't notice that when you first popped on. Yeah, I got to throw mine on as well. So cool. And then, of course, Theo, you're here in Canada. And are you a hockey fan, Theo, or no?
I actually don't watch hockey. I watch football from time to time, but mostly movies.
Mostly movies, not hockey. Okay, well, that's all right. I mean, you know, that's okay. I hear you. The Sabres suck, so I haven't watched it.
But I do have to say, sorry that I interrupt there, Dave.
That's okay.
This is my first time seeing the behind the scenes of Dave McRae, and I love it. I love the McRae live. The way you do it, you're so calm. I mean, I would have lost my shit. I'm like freaking out inside right now.
No, you're doing well. You're doing great. It's okay. It's all right. I've been doing this a long before YouTube.
You know, the person that comments on the chat over there, you know.
Well, if you need to comment in the chat right now just to feel comfortable, by all means, go ahead. You're more than welcome to do that. So let's start with It's Me, Billy. Now, I have not I mean, and I say this with absolute truthfulness. You guys can be honest with how you feel about it. You can say, oh no, it was great, it was amazing, I love it. You can be like, I liked it, I like what you did there, but I wasn't so sure about that, or why you did that, or that kind of stuff. You guys can be totally honest, right? I like that kind of thing, right? There's been a lot of people that have loved the movie, and there's been a lot of people that have loved it, but we're like, I don't know about that there, or that's crazy kind of stuff. And then of course there are those that are just like, no, it's the worst piece of shit I've ever, and you can't take those people seriously. I mean, I'm just like, really? It's the worst piece of shit you've ever... But anyway, but by all means, yes, you guys can be honest with how you felt about it. I don't think we've talked about it really at the end of the day. I've seen posts, I've seen social media, but first of all, let me also say, and I know I can speak on behalf of everybody, I mean, sincerely, a huge thank you to your generous contributions, the three of you, everybody, Ian, who's not here at the moment, who may or may not pop in a bit later. Knightley, of course, who's not here at the moment. Todd Fair, I think Patrick Anderson. I mean, everybody who has donated to this level, we really appreciate it. I mean, it made a huge difference. So thank you on behalf of the cast and crew for doing that. You guys made this a reality. I mean, you helped to make it possible. So amazing. Let's start with Chris. Chris, the movie comes out. Okay. Let me start here, because this is cool. This is kind of cool. I mean, I want to please the producers here, and hopefully they were pleased. When I released that micro teaser last December, it was a micro teaser. It was like 30 seconds long. What did you think when we released that? It was sort of the first footage that people were able to see.
Mood and atmosphere.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. What did you think?
I was sold.
You were sold, were you?
I was sold right away. I mean, just the way you shot it. I mean, I remember you saying it was just you and Bruce, and I think you said it was in your apartment or your house. And I think it's been a while.
No, that was the Indiegogo teaser. That was the Indiegogo teaser.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about It's Me Billy teaser.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Yeah, I mean, the teaser, you had me in. I mean, I was pleased because I knew what your, just from watching you and listening to you, I knew what your vision was. And, when you thought you nailed the trailer,
Appreciate that.
Was instantly hooked in.
Amazing. And what did you think of the movie overall? I mean,
Loved it.
Yeah, you loved it? That's great.
Loved it.
That's great.
I had only seen, original Black Christmas once or twice before, you started the campaign, but I liked the movie. I really enjoyed, the original. It's a classic.
Yeah.
I put it up there in the top 5. But then, just seeing the trailer, I was like, I think you nailed it. I mean, I had a feeling that you nailed it.
Yeah.
So, and then seeing the movie, you nailed it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's one of those things, when you put, because it's art, right? And when you create art, not everybody's going to like what you do. And, and that's okay. I mean, that's the game. I mean, that's why for some people, it's not a game that they want to play. Maybe if you are, very self-conscious or sensitive or whatever the case is, sometimes there are certain jobs in the world that, you got to be able to take the heat. We knew the thing with It's Me, Billy is that, and what's interesting is that not everybody liked it. There's been a lot of people, I've seen a lot of, reviews from people saying it was there was one, I think I saw one review on, yes, it was a review on Letterboxd. Now we had, we were on Letterboxd and then it got removed from Letterboxd and then it suddenly wound up back on Letterboxd, but unfortunately all the other reviews that were once there were no longer there and it was garnering new reviews or whatever. Anyways, there was one review where I actually commented as myself, not on the review, not on what they thought of the movie, because that's art. If they didn't like the movie, that's fair. I'm not going to bother wasting time trying to change their minds. But they had made a technical mistake, that like an actual technical mistake. They were complaining about the something to do with pixelation and the color grading, and I had pointed out that the color grading has nothing to do with that. That's YouTube's compression. And so I sent them a link via Vimeo where you could watch it and it's a lot better and that kind of stuff. But man, was it a scathing review. I mean, scathing. I think they gave us like a half a star out of 5 or something ridiculous like that. It almost seemed comical. But anyway, not everybody's going to like what you do. And it became very apparent as the movie sort of breathed a bit for us that, if you're not a Black Christmas fan or you're not really knowing what it is, you don't really like the movie. But if you're a big Black Christmas fan or you appreciate it, you get it, right? Like you understand it, you get it, all those things that, the
Easter eggs too.
The Easter eggs, the slow burn, the pacing, all that kind of stuff makes sense. And that's who we were making it for, right? It was a direct sequel to that film. So it had to live in that universe, but it is funny. It's fun, not fun. It's never fun, but it's certainly amusing to read some reviews. This particular review said that we missed the mark completely on what a Black Christmas movie should be. And I'm like, we did? I'm like, really?
Maybe he was talking about 2019.
Maybe. I'm like, okay.
Personally, I don't think you guys did. I mean, you nailed it.
I think so too.
Really well done, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Theo. And it's, but when I responded to them, I didn't try to change their mind because I'm if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And you should be entitled to feel. I disagree, but that's how you feel. But there was a technical mistake that I wanted to, and they never even acknowledged me. So I thought, oh, well, it's not a big deal. Maybe they just got up on the wrong side of the bed that morning. Rob, what's your experience with Black Christmas and how did you feel about It's Me, Billy?
I had really never heard of it until you kept mentioning it in your podcasts all the time.
Right.
And actually, I take that back. When I would go to like the video stores as a kid, it would be in the section, but I'm just like Black Christmas, another holiday. It's probably one of these exploitation type, horror movies. But then you had kept mentioning it. And then I looked at the cast. It's got, Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder. I'm like, this is a pretty decent cast. But I know they were young at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, give this a chance. And during COVID shutdown, I work from home now. A lot of people work from home now. And I ended up after work one day, it was on Tubi TV for free.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I'm like, this is, Dave knows what he's talking about right here. This is a really good movie because Halloween's always been my, favorite, scary movie, horror movie, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I watched it and then I was like, when you started the campaign, I'm like, yeah, I have full faith in you after you telling us, this is a great movie to watch. It's kind of an obscure, pre-Halloween movie. So gave it a chance and it was a no-brainer for me to donate because I knew you and Bruce would do a great job. You really put yourself out there so I first saw you, I think it was like 2017 or 2018 when you were talking about Halloween 2018. And then you'd bring Bruce on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
guys. How I discovered Dave too. Yeah. Sorry that I interrupted.
Yeah.
They're like true professionals. And I'm just like, because I had donated to other types of projects before and the quality of work was just never like you guys. I mean, it was an actual movie. I mean, What you guys presented was 90, if not 100% better than what I see in the theater right now. Because our theaters in Ohio are.
Well, that's quite the compliment.
Yeah. And I said, I
appreciate that.
I said I saw Scream last week, not to give it away. The whole new Halloween movies, they've had their moments, but it's just like they can't get it together right now. I mean, I'm hoping Halloween is somewhat better, but
well, we're going to get to that.
Later, but we'll talk about that later. But it's just like you guys make it look so easy.
I appreciate that, Rob. Yeah, it was. We did have a vision. We had a goal. We wanted the film to be a number of things, right? We wanted it to be, as for us as filmmakers working in the business here in Toronto, we wanted to take because as you guys know, I've spent over 20 years in the entertainment industry, but mostly in voiceover on that side. But I went to school for film. That's my first love. That's what I wanted to do with my life. And when I turned 40, I was like, well, I better start doing. I mean, I'm gonna have. I gotta get. So I decided to do something. I wanted to make a real movie and use it as a portfolio piece as well, as a calling card. That was one thing we wanted the film to be. And the other thing we wanted the film to be was a gift to Black Christmas fans, such as ourselves, and make something that was sort of like a concept. Like it's a sequel, but it also acts as like a concept, right? Where it's like, hey, imagine this, but with 10 times the budget and a little more. But it's like this concept, right? It's like the short film that's like a concept, kind of like what James Wan did with Saw, right? He had that short film, hey, imagine this and this and this. And then, of course, he was able to go off and actually do the feature. That was an original thing, so obviously that's easier. But so we went all out. Like we utilized all the connections, not all the connections, but connections we had at our disposal. Bruce, of course, working at White's here in Toronto. We cannot thank White's enough. I mean, they are the state of the art in this country when it comes to supplying gear to film and TV. I mean, they supply gear to, there are competitors here, but White's does a lot, if not most, of the big shows and films that come up from LA and Hollywood. And so we were in a great position where we were, we had access to the headquarters of the company here in Toronto, and we were able to, so shout out to them for supplying all of the gear from camera to lighting, grip, all that. We really wanted to do something special. And one of the other things I see too from people who, and it's completely understandable, I don't hold, and it's no fault of their own, is some people are sort of taken back by the ending of the movie, right? They think, well, is that it? Is that kind of it? And I guess because it's a short film, you're expecting it to have a beginning, a middle, and an end on its own, have like an ending that feels sort of complete. Whereas we made the choice to end it on a cliffhanger in hopes that it would spark interest so that we could complete the story. It was a risk, but that's why it kind of feels, incomplete, is because it is incomplete. But if we didn't have more to tell, we would have ended it on the shot of Shelby in the back seat, where the camera's just, pushing in, the Christmas music is playing. Yeah, exactly. Just push in, the music builds to the crescendo, cut to black, roll credits. That's where we would have ended it. But we just thought, we have more we want to tell, so let's take that risk. But anyway, I digress. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed
One
it.
other thing, Dave,
Yeah.
The characters that you and Bruce had written, we cared about the characters. Like when they died, we actually cared that they died. I mean,
Right.
it was usually in horror movies, it's just a character's here just to be killed off. There's no rhyme or reason. They're there just to be killed off. We actually cared about these characters. But I just wanted to bring that up. You don't always do that in a scary movie.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've had others say that too. I've had actually a few people compliment the writing in that regard, and which is a nice compliment to hear. You know, it was our goal when we were writing these characters to make them feel like real people, and get you attached to them as best as we could in 15 minutes, because the movie's 42 minutes. But you really only have about 15, maybe 17 minutes actually by the time the living room scene ends, I think, which is the last scene with them together. You know, the do the face, you know, that shot there. That's sort of the end. And that was something we added in sort of the last half of the script, as I said to Bruce, or in a very late draft. I said, you know, we should end on a positive note, you know, where they're sort of joking around, because this is the last time that we're going to see them together, and he liked that idea. So I wrote the part specifically about do the face, and Victoria had a bunch of faces she went through in her Rolodex, but that was the one that we ended up going with. But we wanted you to care about the characters. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know, I don't know if you guys know this, but because I think I've mentioned it before. The night before, was it the night before or the night of that we were going to, spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen it, you're in no rush. We were going the night before or the night of that we were going to kill Justine, Maleka's character. And the crew was setting up, and the girls were at the table, at the dining room table, just playing cards or something, just kind of waiting. And I remember I walked in, because we needed to have Justine take her spot, because we were doing lighting tests. And I walked in, and I sincerely mean this. This is not hyperbole at all. I am not exaggerating with this at all. I walked in and I said to the three of them, and they can vouch for this. I said, you know, I feel really sad having to kill your character right now. And, you know, they're all like, oh, really? Oh, that's so sweet. I was like, no, I feel, and I think what it was is that these three ladies, because we cast them so early, they became real friends, right? We cast them in March. We didn't shoot till November. They were having Zoom calls and wine, you know, Zoom calls outside of the film. So they got to really know each other, which is why the chemistry feels sort of very organic. You believe that they're actual friends. And I felt really bad. I said, you know, we have to do it. I mean, you know, we got to do it. But I felt like I was actually destroying their friendship. Not one word of, I know that sounds really maybe overly dramatic, but I actually felt that. And which is weird. It's really weird to say, because it's like we're not actually doing it. You know, as soon as we said cut, you can go back downstairs and play cards. But it really did feel that way, and it was very, very strange. But I will say this: one of the things that people have said too is that they wish they could have seen more of the girls together. I could not agree with you more. And if this was a feature film, you would have, right? We would have had scenes with them sneaking around the house together, or, you know, whatever it was, right? But because it's a short film, we had to kind of, you know, move along, so to speak. Anyway, Theo, what did you think?
So like kind of like Rob, where, you know, I was stuck at home in the pandemic, and actually the day of the I think the Billy-a-thon that you guys did, I had a flat tire. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna go and take care of that. I want to watch the Billy-a-thon and support. And ever since then, it's been quite a journey, I have to say, you know. But what got me into this idea was that pandemic that I wanted to support, you know.
Yeah.
I was just bored at home. I didn't have anything to do. And this was exciting. And it still is exciting watching the views and watching people watching it and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. I appreciate that, Theo. And Okay, so I have a question for all three of you, and we'll start with Chris. What was your favorite moment from the film?
Favorite moment?
If you have one.
Tough one.
It has to be when Victoria turns her head and you get that zoom.
That's
Like
a good one.
Right there.
That's a good one. Chris?
That is a good one. The shot when she's I think she's upstairs in the hallway and it's dark and you kind of get that like moonlight coming through and the camera's just focused there. I think it's the time when you got like that long shot, the tracking shot, I think it is, where she's just walking through all the rooms and everything. But that one shot where I think you used it as a still photo too.
The one where she ends up in front of the window, silhouetted?
Yeah.
Yep.
Another good scene is when they're in the attic and Billy's like going to reach for Victoria, and that was like goosebumps. You know?
That's a
good one too.
Yeah. What about you, Rob?
That was mine. What Theo said when Billy's hand is going after. I forgot her name already. I apologize.
Victoria.
But,
Sam.
Victoria.
Damn.
But yeah, but the other ones too. Like when Victoria, she turns her head in that slow mo. That's a good one there. And even I will say, like when she's running out, and why am I forgetting all the names right now? When
Mrs. Crane,
comes out, and just you kind of sort of feel, okay, there's a little twist coming up right here, and obviously there was. So, but I mean, to be honest, Dave, it's really tough because the movie was just that damn good. I mean, it's tough to really pick a
well edited. Even when they're walking on the snow, you can hear the little crunch details and everything about it. So well done on that.
That was all the sound. I mean, I've said this before. There was about, I think there was over 50. I have to go back and look. Excuse me, but there was about 15 layers or 16 layers of audio and all the sound, like, from the doors opening to the wind to the birds it's all added in post. Even when they're
take you, if you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all, Theo. It was, we started when we wrapped principal photography at the end of November. Our first priority was to get the teaser trailer out. So that took about 3 weeks. So that's what we were doing at the beginning of December of 2020 was working on that. And I would say after Christmas. So January 2021 was when we started and because we wanted to have the film out for the spring, we were doing picture lock and sound at the same time, which I like to do anyway. I don't know. It's hard for me to edit picture and not edit sound at the same time. It's just kind of a preference. And February, March, April, like 4 months. And like even, I mean, everything from the plates clanking at the dinner room, at the, the dining room table. So when you hear Victoria go like this on her forward, that's all added in, when you hear a clanking of, the glass, all added in. Everything. I mean, there's a few things I think we captured while there, but I'd say sincerely 95% was all added in post.
That's awesome. Very well done. Even the scene at the attic with the music, that got me chills there too, because it's like we're seeing death, but at the same time we're trying to process what we saw.
Yes. Yeah. And Victoria, I mean, she just lost it. We told her that we didn't want a pretty cry. We wanted you to lose it, because this is also not just seeing her dead friend, but it's the buildup of all the anxiety and that she's had for a long time. So it was one of those things where we told her we need you to lose it here, and she did. And I believe that was the third. We shot that 3 times actually. So it was,
I watched the behind the scenes on the Blu-ray, and the last day of shoot when you guys all wrapped up and you said, it's the last shoot and that's it. I could tell your emotions, Dave, with Bruce. Like you guys felt happy that it was done, but you also felt so sad that it's over, for now, right?
We did. That's a good observation, Theo. We did. It was our first time shooting a movie at that level. So, to be able to be in a room with professionals that do this on the regular, I mean, everybody, that's their day jobs. That's what they do. I mean, all our crew, from our first and second AC to our grips, our gaffers, Greg, our DP, they've since gone on and done other things. I mean, this is what they do. It's Me, Billy was just a stop for them. And, it was really, I mean, yes, it was an independent film and it was low budget, no budget in terms of Hollywood terms. But it was professional through and through, from inception to completion, how we handled it, how we led the team, the equipment we were using, the crew themselves. And it was just really a fun experience to be there and to see them doing their jobs. And, not every set or film you make will be like that. There's always going to be a clash of egos and personalities and crew and cast. And I mean, that's just, the nature of the game. But for your first time doing it at that level, it was a hell of an experience. It obviously helped that it was one location, so we were not moving. I mean, we could leave things set up and it was just there. It was just this one little thing. And it was like a set, essentially. So that helped. That helped with morale, and that helped with stress, because sometimes when you're shooting a film on location and you have multiple places to shoot in a day, you have to factor in the setup and the teardown times. And sometimes it can take you 2 hours to set up and 2 hours to tear down in your 12-hour day. So that means really you only have 8 hours, but really you only have 7 hours because you have lunch in there. And that, you know what I mean? So it starts to whittle, it starts to kind of, you lose time a lot. So 12 hours.
You guys had too, right?
Sorry, Theo, say again?
You guys had lots of night shoots as well.
We did. That's right. So, when the schedule says 12-hour days, that's not 12 hours of shooting. That's just how long the day is. That encompasses everything: your setup, your teardown, your lunch, your dinner, whatever is going on. So the fact that we were in one location just made things so much easier. And the set was catered, so obviously the caterer would show up at the times that they were supposed to, which was great. They were phenomenal. And not having to tear, we could leave the dolly track in the middle of the floor. We could leave the camera, set up over here, whatever, overnight, and not have to worry about putting that away. So that really helped.
Filming during a pandemic.
That's another good point too, Theo. Yeah, it was the fact that we were able to raise the money in that time and shoot during a pandemic is incredible, really, at the end of the day. But that one location probably helped, because it was a closed set and the only people that were allowed there were the cast and crew, nobody, and the caterer, of course. But it was, if we had to move around, the likelihood of somebody catching COVID or getting sick or whatever, increases. But the fact that we're all there and we're all okay, really helped. Amazing, really cool. Okay, so it's glad that you guys enjoyed the movie. That's great. We're letting. When's the sequel? I know everybody. I've been getting that. I've been getting asked that a lot.
40,000 views now, right?
We're closing in on 40,000 views. Yeah, which is great for It's Me, Billy. I mean, if it was Halloween, it'd have 400,000 views. But for a Black Christmas fan film, I think that's pretty good. No announcement on a sequel yet. We are. This is not news. I did talk about this before. We have talked about it. We have talked about our ideas. We have written down certain scenes that of how the film would open. So we have it down. We've started that process. But we want to let the movie breathe a little bit. It hasn't even been a year yet, so we want it to breathe a little bit, get some more views behind it, get more people seeing it. It did well over Christmas. I think it gained an extra 5,000 or 6,000 views over Christmas, which was great. So no announcement yet, but Victoria is totally game to come back, as is Brian and Caro. And we'll see. Myself and Bruce right now are working on something else at the moment, which hopefully we'll be able to talk about in the near future. Which is really exciting. Sorry?
The GIF that you posted. So it means something is cooking.
The tweet that I posted?
Yeah, it was like somebody going or something like that.
Oh, the Eddie Murphy thing. No, actually, to be honest with you, I just did that just to elicit the response. I wasn't actually.
I was like, oh, you locked in with the studio or something. I was happy.
No. No, but we are working on something that we're very excited about. And like I said, we don't want to say too much right now because we feel it's putting the cart before the horse. So we just kind of want to, let some things evolve a bit further before we make any sort of announcement. Okay.
Do you think we'll be able to get Olivia Hussey?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. That's the goal. That's the dream. We would love Olivia Hussey to reprise her role as Jess. That's what we want. If we can't, then we would recast her. It's that simple. We would just recast somebody who looks and sounds like her, and who you believe is her. You know what I mean?
Right.
If we can't, but that's the goal. We would love to do that, but it's tricky now. She's in her 70s, so you have to think about that. COVID is a big thing now. Flying her to Canada, all that kind of stuff. It's not as easy as it was, say, a couple years ago. So we have to keep those things in mind too. Okay, so let's talk about Halloween. Let's talk about Halloween. And folks, if you have any questions at all, feel free to send them in. Obviously, super chats are guaranteed to be answered for obvious reasons, and we will get to some questions at the end here. Let's start with Chris. Oh, Chris is turning on his light. He's turning on his light.
I had to get
all
a
right.
light on it here.
That's all right. Chris, Halloween Kills. What did you think? How are you feeling? They're shooting Halloween Ends. What is going down? How do you feel? How did you feel about Halloween Kills?
I liked it. I like with probably everybody else, I thought the Evil Dies Tonight stuff was just overdone. But I wasn't the biggest fan of how it ended. I like that, the beat down. I like him, taking everybody out in the street. That was kind of pretty cool. But then just him was just showing up in the upstairs of the bedroom and taking out. Why is my mind going blank?
Karen,
Lori's daughter. Yeah. And I was like, okay, we just,
it just felt kind of abrupt, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to suspend my disbelief, but on the other hand, I'm also like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. What did you think of the whole hospital stuff? Like, did you find, because you obviously know how I felt about it, right? How did you feel about some of the things that I was talking about, in terms of maybe the acting or the hospital stuff or the pacing? Did that stuff stand out to you at all, or was it not really an issue for you?
I think it dragged it down a little bit, especially the pacing. I don't think the escaped mental patient from from 18. I don't think they needed to put that in there.
Right.
I understand why they did it. They had to have like the red herring, I guess, to make everybody think that he was Michael, even though most people would realize this guy. There's no way this guy could be Michael, but I get it.
No, I don't think so either. And he's probably about, 10 inches shorter than James Jude Courtney. And you would think that Karen and, even Lori would be like, well, that's not, I'm taller than him. So not me. Lori might, would be like, well, hang on a sec. I'm taller than that guy. So that can't be him. I just saw him like half an hour ago at my house, and I was looking up at him. So this can't be. What's he doing because the funny thing is that Michael was wearing a jumpsuit, and what's he doing with long hair in a white sort of, prison outfit when he was just in a mechanic suit an hour ago? That doesn't, he kind of looked like Danny DeVito.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I almost mentioned Danny DeVito.
Yeah, it just didn't.
He looked like the Penguin from Batman back in the day.
That's it. That's right. Yeah, very strange stuff. Rob, what about you? What did you think of Halloween Kills?
When I first saw it in the theater, I really liked it, but it was the first time I was in the theater since March of 2020, so I think that helped with liking it so much. But then when I watched it on Peacock, about 2 or 3 times afterwards. Really, all I liked was the flashback sequence. That was really good. There was some, like when Lindsay was being chased, that was some tense moments. But all in all, it's like, I know making a movie is a hard process, but all these subplots and everything else, just keep it simple. It shouldn't be this hard to think of ideas.
Right.
At least it's just, again, I find it more entertaining than Halloween 2018, but Halloween 2018 is a better movie. Kind of like Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. Batman's a better movie. Batman Returns is more entertaining. It helps that Michelle Pfeiffer is in Batman Returns as well.
Right.
But again, I think I really liked it that first time just because, again, I hadn't been to a theater since March of 2020. Just seeing a Halloween movie after 3 years was good too. But its welcome kind of wore off when I watched it on Peacock like 2 more times. But the flashback scene, I'll give them an A+ for that.
Right.
But really, other than that, I'm just like, come on, guys. What? That's why I'm just like hoping Halloween ends. You gotta button this up because the first 2 have been average at best.
You gotta end it. Exactly like it says, you gotta end it.
Yeah, you do, and I don't know if they're going to stick the landing or not. I'm not sure, but I well, I mean, you know how I felt about it. I didn't hate the movie. I did. It's not like I think it's not the worst in the series, but I do think it's a step back from 18. I think it's just not as good. It feels well, it's that hospital part, the middle part with the acting and the dialogue and the I really did feel that the legacy characters were shoehorned in. I didn't feel that, you gave them any sort of send off. I mean, I know to the story maybe they're insignificant but to the audience and to the fans, they're the way Tommy was killed and the way Marion was killed just felt so sort of cheap and like thrown away. It just, I don't see the purpose of them being there really. They bared no impact. They could, both Tommy and Lindsay, I mean, even though she had a bit more to do, I will say Tommy, Lindsay, and Marion could have been 3 completely different people. Bob, not that Bob, but let's just call him Bob, Janet, and Lucy. And you could have had them go out and do the exact same things. You could have had some guy named Bob who just remembers the night in 1974. Like the reason why you have Tommy reciting that speech at the beginning of the movie, and the reason why it's supposed to be kind of, whoa, it's because it's Tommy Doyle saying it, but you don't carry that through. It's just, he's just this guy that runs around with a baseball bat screaming evil dies tonight, and he goes out he just goes out faster than there's no moment. There's no moment, there's no moment with the kid that convinced Laurie the boogeyman was real. And Brackett, the same thing, useless, absolutely useless. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but when you have a bloated film like that's trying to do so much, I would have gotten rid of, and I say this not because I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying I would have done more of what my, and I know it's hard to do because Brackett's old now. But I would have been more invested if it was sort of, I don't know, maybe you get Tommy and Lindsay together with Marion, which they did, and they go after, but that is the movie. They go to try and find Michael, but it's about them hunting Michael down from home to home. Michael's always one step ahead of them, and maybe you bring in the thunderstorm and you bring in the rain and things like that. Very similar to what I did in my sequel idea video, just kind of, I don't know. It's a strange film. I find it a strange movie. But anyway, enough about me. Enough what I think. Theo, what did you think of Halloween Kills?
Well, actually, for Halloween Kills, I saw Halloween 2018, and I really enjoyed that film. And I think mostly because I was at the TIFF premiere, and I really loved it. Like, after the credits rolled and I left, I was like, this was such a treat, Mm-hmm. But I think it was just all the hype and, waiting in line and getting a T-shirt and all that stuff. And,
right.
was your video. I think you can spot me and my father. We're like sitting all the way back. So it's
Oh,
pretty-
interesting. I'll have to look. I'll have to look out for that. Yeah, I did take a video of the theater.
Yeah. But Halloween Kills, on the other hand, I mean, I wish they would have showed it at TIFF. But with what we live in right now, it's kind of hard to do that. But
Yeah.
I don't think, to be honest with you, it was TIFF worthy anyway. I really like the beginning. Like the flashback was really well done.
Yeah.
But that end scene, it should have just ended them in circle, except of going to Karen, because that went so fast. And it was just, I don't know, what to think. Did Karen die? Did she make it? Did she survive? It's just...
Well,
And then I saw the extended cut, and it shows that Laurie was on the phone talking to Karen. Michael was on the phone with Laurie. So.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember when I saw Halloween 18 at the World premiere as well, the same one that you were at. I remember when the movie ended thinking that it felt abrupt. Even Halloween 18 almost felt like it needed an extra 5 or 10 minutes. With Halloween Kills, I felt it was even more abrupt. It felt even more strange and weird. That's 2 movies in a row that feel like it's got this, it's not like It's Me, Billy, where clearly it's a cliffhanger ending. I mean, I have to admit, I'm a little surprised by some people that have come forward who I don't know, who maybe don't even know who I am, are like, well, it would just end like that? Why would you just end it like that? And I'm thinking, well, come on. If this was a Hollywood movie, would you not sit there and go, oh, clearly this is, they're setting it up for a sequel, right? I mean, I thought it was kind of obvious that, who ends a movie like that? But with Kills and 18, they both feel sort of abrupt. And I saw the extended cut, the extended cut with the deleted ending, and I got to tell you, it read much better on paper. I don't think it's much better, in my opinion. It doesn't do much for me, the way Laurie kind of is half-ass about it and just leaves.
I enjoyed that, Dave, but the thing is, they're talking about, 10 years later and Halloween ends?
No, 4 years later.
Or 4 years later, so it doesn't really make sense,
No, there's going to be a time jump somewhere. Chris, what did you think of the extended ending?
I actually have not seen the extended ending, but I do know about the extended ending. I've watched videos. I've heard you talk about it and the others, so I pretty much know exactly what happens. I don't know. I don't know if I have an opinion on it because I haven't seen it. But
I'll be honest with you. It is basically it's not they're classifying it as like an alternate ending. It really isn't an alternate ending. It's just the ending that was there initially, but it was just cut too short. So when you see Michael standing there in the window and he's breathing and then it cuts to black and it says Halloween Kills, well, imagine it not cutting to black and it cutting back to the hospital instead. Or I think it cuts to Karen lying on the floor and you hear which is her phone, and then it cuts to Laurie at the hospital calling her and she's at the payphone, and then you don't see, I thought we would have seen Michael put the phone to his ear and sort of very reminiscent of the original film. You don't see that at all. You just see Laurie at the hospital on a payphone, and you hear through the, and then you hear, and all you hear from Laurie's perspective is just the breathing, and Laurie says something to the effect of, I'm coming for you, Michael. And she drops the receiver, and the receiver just hangs there, and she walks away, and that's the end of the movie. And it's kind of like, but it's the way she says it. It's not powerful. It's not dramatic. She says it like she just got up. I'm coming for you, Michael. And there was no impact for me. I don't know if the chat room feels the same way, but there was no impact for me. So it read better on paper. Let's just put it that way. Because I guess you're imagining it in your own mind, right? It didn't play out very well to me.
Did she show any kind of emotion whatsoever, knowing full well that probably Karen had been killed?
No. And at least not, and that's what I was like you think her eyes would have widened, and I actually think it would have been more powerful if she stood there listening to the breathing. We get a shot, maybe sort of a slow sort of push in on her face, right? You could do it with a dolly, it doesn't matter. Probably a digital zoom, just sort of a slow pushing on her face, and she's there and we see her and we just sit with her as she's listening. She's listening to the breathing, and we're looking at her as we're slowly pushing in on her face, and we can see it in her eyes, and then she just drops the phone and leaves. She doesn't say fuck all. She just drops the phone and leaves and starts heading towards the exit. And we know where we know, right? Or her face turns from kind of maybe to, kind of anger, and she leaves. She doesn't have to say, I just didn't buy, it was strange. I'm coming
for you. Should have just punched the phone booth.
Yeah, or ripped it off and taken all the coins out.
Show something.
Yeah.
I can see why they edited it out and it wasn't in the theatrical cut. So
it wasn't. And
Karen died though.
Do I think Karen died? Yes. Yeah. I absolutely. Yeah. Rob, what did you think of that ending? Have you seen it? Did I ask you that already? I can't remember. No, I don't think I did.
To me, it really added nothing to the grand scheme of things. But I will say two things. The Myers house that they built, spot on.
Oh, amazing.
Really job from the art department. But then again, that beating Michael took at the end, there is no way he cannot be supernatural now. He's like a Jason Voorhees type. I mean, there's no way a mortal person could take that. I mean, how's he going to survive 4 years after taking that beating? And I think he was shot a couple times too.
He was point blank.
But it was just like, how do you not bleed to death? And plus, from what happened in 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, because same night, I just don't. It's getting to that supernatural element.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plus Karen shoved a pitchfork in his back too.
That's right. Yeah. It does get harder to suspend our disbelief into Michael not being having the supernatural edge, right? And where it's kind of like, how, you're telling us he's this man with like the how they played him in the first movie is actually the right thing, the right way to go, because it was very much, and when I mean the first movie, I mean 2018, actually. I think it was the right thing to do because we have Laurie, the interview at the beginning with Aaron and Dana, and Aaron is sort of, kind of humoring Laurie in the whole boogeyman thing, right? He doesn't quite believe her. He's, saying, the boogeyman, you know what I mean? And she's like, you don't believe in the boogeyman? And he says, no, I don't. And she's like, you should. All that's all you need. That's part of like that. If Dr. Loomis were alive, those lines would go to Dr. Loomis. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, that's all you need. You don't need to show any sort of sensational supernatural thing other than the suggestion. It's the power of suggestion. And then you show bits and bobs of him there, not there. How could he get from there to there? You don't have to show him taking a ton of punishment to sort of get the point across. And because I think when you do that, you run the risk of now having to paint him literally supernatural, and really the what's cool about Michael is the dichotomy. It's the is he? Nah. Yeah. Nah. Well, nah. Well, and that's what keeps us coming back, because we're like, nah. Well, no. It's just that doubt. But the second he's taken 6 shots or more than 6 shots right up front, and I know people in the chat room or who are watching afterwards probably go, well, he took 6 shots in the original movie. I know, but remember, there was never supposed to be a sequel after that. That's where the whole thing comes in. But if you're going back to, point blank range, pitchforks, beating down, fire, this, that, it's like, there's only so much we can stretch our belief. Do you guys feel that way? Like are you all feeling kind of like, I don't know. Theo?
I agree.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. It's just like, how much more can they stretch it with him being like not being able to fight back, right? Or
yeah. What did you feel about the I sort of have this weird feeling with Little John and Big John. So, and it has nothing to do, and I will preface this by saying it has nothing to do with the fact that they're gay. It's crazy we live in a world now where I have to say that. You think that would go without saying when we're talking about just characters in general. I don't think it was necessary to have them there, actually. Like, I don't care if they were gay or straight or, whatever. But I think because they were gay and because there was a little bit of that, I don't want to say not flamboyant, but there was a little bit of that cheekiness to their to the relationship, which is I mean, listen, I have to admit I laughed a few times. It was funny, but I don't know if it added anything to it. I almost felt that maybe the house just should have been abandoned, and maybe nobody lived there. I know we did that already in 78. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. There's something about Big John and Little, I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something about their moments, their scenes that I'm just, I don't know. I don't feel, I don't know what it is.
It's too silly at times. You know what I mean?
Could be. It
when
could
he
be.
has to walk and yell at Big John and Little John, and it's like that, like hide and seek type of thing.
I think you're right. I think what it is, now that you've said that, Theo, I think what it is that, and I understand it's just a movie, and I understand that there is that cheekiness, tongue-in-cheek kind of vibe to it. But I guess if you're a real, and I can't speak for everybody, including the three guys here today. But for me, I guess because I take it so seriously, it's a Halloween film, I take it seriously, that I find that I don't believe if you really felt that somebody had broken into your home, that you would be cute about it. And I think that's sort of what I struggle with. It's, again, I don't care if you're gay or straight or whatever. It's the cuteness, the cutesiness about the relationship, which is charming, and I get that. And maybe it's fine to have that when they're sitting there and they're chilling on Halloween, and that's fine. But to carry the cuteness and the cheekiness further, and then when he enters the room and he sees Michael standing at the window, and all he says is, oh, Michael, you've come home. It's kind of like, really? Dude, I'd be like, ah! I'd be freaking the fuck out. I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be running, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, holy shit, it's Michael Myers. It just feels a little too cute to me. And I think that's why I have kind of this weird feeling when I watch those scenes. But
it felt like a rehearsal.
Sorry, say again?
It felt like a rehearsal.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. I don't know. What did you think, Chris, of the Big John, like your Little John thing? Was it a little too cute for you, or was it much needed comic relief?
I actually thought those were my favorite characters of the movie.
Amazing! That's awesome. I love it.
But I totally get what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
But I could tell at the time, I'm thinking, well, here's your Danny McBride humor in this movie right here.
Right.
And you needed that humor break to break the tension. Right. So I get it. I totally agree with you on the if you see Michael standing there at the window, you're not going to be like, Michael, so it's almost like his sister from '78, Michael.
Right. Well, that's more believable because at least she knew who he was and he was 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another thing. It's like, how do you? I mean, it's been 40 years, and you just assume automatically it's Michael.
That's another thing too. I was like, it's he, Big John. No, the Big John was the Little John, right? And the Little John was the Big John. Was that how it worked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
It was the opposite. So Little John was the one who found him in the room, and I remember thinking, it's like he says it like he's expecting him. Like, oh hi, Michael, you came home. I was expecting him to say, let me just go put some tea on. Or so it's like, I don't know. I don't hate the characters, and I totally get what they were going for, but I just felt that maybe it was a little too cute. Although I will admit, the first time I watched it, when Little John walks past the mirror and he sees his reflection and he goes, oh, like this, and he scares himself. I laughed. I admit, I laughed.
That was funny.
Rob, what did you think of him?
I thought it was over the top.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much what you can say about those two characters. I mean, a Halloween movie, again, comedy, over the top type stuff. You could like what Chris said, you could tell that's what Danny McBride was writing.
Right.
And then when they were talking to the kids too, I just thought, again, over the top, wasn't necessary. Where's the mood? Where's the atmosphere? And like you said too, just have an abandoned Myers.
Yeah.
You don't need people living in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't dislike the characters, but I'm just like, to me, they were just there to be killed. That was it.
Yeah, I just would have played it more serious. I would have had them in there. If you wanted to make them gay, okay, that's fine. That's great. You want to show their little cute relationship, I think that's fine. But when shit starts to go down, shit gets real. And I just would have had that shift where maybe the power goes out and maybe now they're walking around the house in dimly lit light or something, you know, and they're like, John, come here. You know, like they stop the Big John, you know, kind of thing, and shit gets real. They're no longer being cute with each other. Fucking shit is going down, and that's just my approach. Maybe, I mean, listen, maybe that's. It just felt like I wanted to be serious. I wanted my Halloween to be served with some seriousness. I want to feel like they're taking this seriously and not being so self-aware with it. I think is what it was for me. Theo, what did you think?
I thought they were just silly. It was like peanut butter on my penis jokes, just like, like he's cutting the cheese and they're playing songs and it's like, is this a Halloween film? Like,
right.
It felt like a comedy when that was happening, but Danny McBride had to slide that in there.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mind that part because it showed when he comes into the room and he's being all, a little sensational and theatrical and he's dancing. I didn't mind that because I'm like, now that doesn't necessarily mean I would have written it that way, but I was like, okay, well, these two guys are sort of cutesy with each other, and it's just when shit hits the fan, when as soon as they realize that somebody's in the house, I think shit should have got real fast.
And it's fine if he needed to deliver the line like that, Dave, but at least he should have screamed or ran away or something.
Right. Yeah, or tried to run away, yeah.
That could have been a perfect opportunity to have some sort of a chase through the house and you could have had a good kill instead of you see the aftermath where you don't see what happened, you just see him laying there.
Really good point, Chris. Yes, a chase through the Myers house? Oh! That's actually not a bad idea. I don't think we've ever seen that. Like a legitimate chase. Well, I'm talking about, I know we've seen it in Halloween Resurrection and Halloween 5 and all that. But I mean like in terms of, the 1978 film, we've never, like, with the house looking like that, we've never seen that. That would have been cool. Maybe he's like, Michael, and Michael turns around and Little John hightails it out of there, trips on the stairs, maybe falls down the stairs. Of course, you're going to have Allison falling down the stairs later, so maybe they didn't want to do that. But maybe he gets to the bottom of the stairs, tries to go out or something, trips and falls. Something happens, cuts himself, something. He's on the ground. Michael's coming down the stairs, dun, 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 dun. And he's running through the back, to the back door, into the backyard, down an alley, into a neighbor's yard and shit. Help! That would have been cool.
Better than what we got.
Yeah, didn't get it. No, all we got was, Michael, you've come home. Oh, well, that's okay. Hey, it happened. So what are you guys looking forward to with, let's talk about Halloween Ends for a bit here. So what are you optimistic about Halloween Ends? Are you cautiously optimistic about Halloween Ends? I mean, what are you feeling with this? We'll start with Rob.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think it can get much worse, how much they've screwed it up so far with the first two.
Right.
But I want more, like what you always say, mood, atmosphere, some suspense, maybe just some psychological horror too, because it sounds like it's just going to be like in a psychiatric ward I've been hearing, or like in a hospital I've been hearing right now.
I don't know. We know that the working title is Cave Dwellers. It's plural, actually. Whether that has anything to do with the movie or not, I don't know. I find that in recent years, working titles tend to actually be sort of kind of have something to do with the movie, but that's not usually the case. Years ago, and I'm sure this is obviously it's still why they do it, but certainly years ago they would have one of the reasons they would have working titles is to keep projects secret. I mean, we know that was it Return of the Jedi, I think, was famous for being called Blue Harvest, I believe. And that has nothing to do with really with anything. Whereas the Halloween films have sort of, I mean, I think, I know the 18 was Nightblade, I think, but also on the slate board of Halloween 18 was the name Uncle Orange, which is a little weird. And this is Cave Dwellers. So, yeah, but I don't know if all I know for sure is that David Gordon Green says it's supposed to be a smaller film in terms of its size and scale, and very much like a coming of age movie. But whether it takes place in a hospital or not, I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. But anyway, my apologies. I interrupted you. Rob, take it away.
And again, I mean, just a good movie. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, I just feel like, who do you think's calling the shots, Dave? Is it truly Blumhouse or is it Jamie Lee Curtis? It seems like she has a bigger so-called presence in these movies, like whether it's a political presence or, I don't want to go there, but yeah, it seems like someone's kind of calling all these shots where we have to put this in, we have to put that in, instead of just concentrating on a good movie.
Well, Blumhouse is the production company. And they are the ones that would hire the directors. They're the ones that would hire, they are in charge of the film. So Universal is the distributor. That doesn't mean that the big studios don't also, hire people and make movies and things like that. But there's a difference. Sometimes they can be interchangeable. Sometimes, but there's a difference between what the studios often do, not all the time, and what production companies will do. And Blumhouse is the production company, and their job is to hire talented directors and writers and actors and producers, right, and create the film. And that doesn't mean that Universal does not have a say for what kind of movie they want to distribute. And certainly they can be notes coming from the distributor, the studio, saying, well, we would rather release a movie with this ending than that ending. And Jason Blum would have to, depending on the relationships he has and the contracts that are signed, he can fight for certain things. But Jamie Lee is, I think she has a say. I think she has a hand in a lot of the direction of these movies. It's my opinion, based on circumstantial evidence, just because they appear to be getting more and more, I don't want to say political, but more and more sort of messagey. And I just don't think that the Halloween films are the vehicle for that. Halloween Kills has, and again, as I've said many times on my own channel, political subtext in horror movies is nothing new. But this feels very Jamie Lee Curtis. She's very outspoken. She's a social activist. There's nothing wrong with that. She would not be afraid to tell you to fuck off. She wouldn't be afraid where to go. And I can't help but feel, and it all stems to the focus she had when promoting Halloween 18. It's about generational trauma. It's about trauma. She that's what it was all about for her. And then you hear her promoting Halloween Kills. It's about this, it's about that, it's about this. It's all about the message of society and this. And it's like, but why? Why is it about that? Why are we using the Halloween vehicle to do this? And I think it's because Jamie Lee Curtis needed something to glom onto to excite her and inspire her to come back and play the role. I do. I believe that. I don't know how much say she has at the end of the day, but I find it, let's just put it this way. If she was not involved in either of these films, I don't think David Gordon Green and Danny McBride would have written these Halloween movies like this. I think some of the direction, some of the subtext, which isn't really subtext. There's a whole middle chapter at the hospital that isn't subliminal at all. I don't think that would have been there. I really don't. I think this is Jamie Lee wanting to, use this as a platform, to sell a message. Yeah. And now that's my speculation. But she's also said that Halloween Ends is going to have COVID involved. So, I don't know what. Now, what does she mean by that? It's about COVID? Michael dies of COVID? Or it just takes place in a world where COVID exists?
Right.
You know, there's a lot of different things, but anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. See how easy it is for me to do that, you guys? Did you have anything else to say, Rob? Sorry on that.
No, I just want a good movie, and I'm cautiously optimistic. But again, these first two, yeah, I'll watch them just because I'm a Halloween fan. That's the only reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to, watch these every Halloween like the first one always.
Right.
There's just no redeeming factor in this besides the flashbacks.
I gotcha. Theo, what about you? Are you looking forward to ends? Are you optimistic? Are you worried?
Oh, I think I'm going to make a lot of Halloween fans angry now because I want Michael to die.
So do I.
Right there with you.
Well, if Michael is dead, the movies are done.
Well,
For about 5 years till they reboot it again.
that's a good point, Chris. That's a good point.
A remake Halloween 3.
Yeah.
It would be nice if Michael died and Laurie died while fighting at the end, kind of like Dave's idea with the whole vehicle on fire and all that. I want all of that, but it probably won't happen. But
No, it won't happen. They'd have to pay me.
That's right. It has to be, Halloween ends. Go big or go home. They gotta end this in a proper way and not mess it up, or else people are gonna get very mad.
Right. I hear you. I do want Michael to die, not because I hate Michael Myers, but because it's time. He needs to die. Whenever I say that, I think of that line in Halloween 18. But I do. I think there's a way to do it that will leave fans satisfied. I think Halloween fans, and I say this with all due respect to Halloween fans out there, I think a lot of Halloween fans, not all of them, because obviously the four of us want him to die, but I think there's a lot of Halloween fans out there that feel that they don't want him to die because it would somehow ruin the movie or his legacy or their feelings on Halloween or Michael or whatever if he does. And I don't believe that's true. I think that he can die, but like I did with my sequel concept, it's all about sort of the circumstances for which he dies and the symbolism that surrounds it and how you sort of plant the seed of, end it on a philosophical note where it kind of makes you go, wait a minute, is he dead? Or no, he's dead. He's got to be dead. Yeah, well, of course, but why did they? That's kind of weird. Like, what does that even mean? It's like, and I don't suggest they do this, but it's one of the reasons I really like the ending of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So Freddy dies. He dies supposedly, and there's no arm coming out of the door and pulling, Nancy's mom, the balloon, through the door. There's none of that. There's no hand coming out of the chest and the bus drives up, which is fucking cool, by the way. But I'm not saying this is fucking cool. This is fucking great stuff. I love it. But the bus drives off onto the thing and oh my God. No, it's just the camera sort of pans to the left. We see the paper mache house there. And all it is there's a light that turns on in the paper mache house. Cut to black. That's it. There's no Freddy glove. There's no Freddy laugh. There's no Freddy Krueger arm. There's no Freddy. It just leaves you going, how the hell is that possible? It's a paper mache house. How did the light? What? That's so creepy. If they had never made that's what I'm talking about. Is something that kind of makes you go, that's weird. But the trick is to never make another movie again. In this timeline, if you want to reboot the story 10 years down, knock yourselves out. But in this timeline, Michael Myers connected to the 1978 original, I agree with you. I think it's time to go. It's time to let it rest. What are we gonna have? Michael at 85 walking around? I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't, I don't think it's that he dies or that Laurie dies. It's how you do it. And not to, again, I don't want it, for lack of sounding like I'm tooting my own horn, I'm really not. I'm just trying to draw an example. At the end of my sequel concept idea video, you know how that ends with the fire and Michael and Laurie and all this kind of stuff. Out of all the things people have complained about, and I've read them, Nobody ever complains about the ending. Nobody ever goes, well, Michael. No, they don't. That's what. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't people out there that don't like it, but in all the complaints I get, or I wouldn't have done this, or I don't like this, nobody complains about the end. Very, very few people complain about the end. And when I mean the ending, I mean the Michael part, where how I have him die and all that kind of stuff. Because I think I did it in a way that leaves it satisfying for the viewer. And that's what it's really all about, is leaving it satisfying for the viewer. Anyway, I'll shut up again. Chris, your thoughts? Oh, do we still have Chris?
I think he might be frozen.
He's frozen.
He's frozen, or he's sleeping.
Looks like he's sleeping.
Looks like he's sleeping. Chris, there we are. You're back, Chris. You're back. I thought you'd fallen asleep there for a minute. Your eyes were closed. And I was like, hey, it wouldn't be the first time somebody fell asleep on me.
Crappy Vegas internet.
What are you? Wait a minute. Did I go around already? Did I get everybody's thoughts on?
Yeah.
I think I did. Okay, I did. Okay, fair. So let's talk now about what you would like to see after Halloween ends. We all agree that we want Michael to die. We would like sort of the series as we know it, kind of to, let it rest now, right? Like we don't want to, I mean, if they're fumbling the ball with and I know Chris really liked the film, but even if you really liked Kills, I think it is safe to say that we understand that it's divisive for sure, right? I mean, certainly there's lots of people that like it. There's lots of people that don't like it. So I think it's safe to say that Kills, at the very least, has fumbled the ball. Maybe not fumbled the ball to the ground where it's been intercepted, but certainly they're fumbling the ball because the film's been divisive and it's only the second movie in. So if you want this series to go on past ends into Halloween ends, Halloween begins, like I always say, the more sequels they make, we're going to find ourselves right back where we were. And, so what do you want to see? What direction do you want to see the Halloween series go after Halloween ends is complete? We'll start with Chris.
I like the whole thought of doing another anthology thing that Carpenter tried to do back with Halloween 3. Just if you're going to kill Michael, which I agree that they need to kill him, start over with something fresh, and just make sure everybody's aware, which is what they didn't do. And I get it, the world's a lot different than it was almost 40 years ago when they did Halloween 3, but
yeah,
I would think that everybody would be aware at this point. Michael's gone. This isn't, this is a whole different story. We could call it in the Halloween universe. And there's no Michael Myers anymore. Let's move on. Let's do something different. If you want to start off and you want to try to remake Halloween 3 and make it more modern and updated, go for it. I mean, I think it could be done. But then let's go in a different direction.
How would you feel?
I always liked your idea of doing the Charlie Bulls storyline. I think that would be pretty cool. I'd go watch that.
Yeah, I think it would be cool too. It's not. Yeah, I think it would be cool. Or maybe Mr. Riddle. I mean, he can still watch. He'd be 130 or something, whatever it is. Theo, what about you?
Well, I actually have seen the original Halloween 2018 in Kills. So honestly, in my opinion, I would just I know it sounds like, oh boy, they're doing it again, but like after 6 years, I would have Allison be like the Laurie Strode. Kind of like continue that story, but I wouldn't make it be like the exact same copy from
So you want Michael to die, but you want Allison to pick up, say, 10 years later. So who would be the antagonist for Allison? It wouldn't be Michael Myers, right?
No, it's gonna be a whole different turn, and it's gonna be she thinks, well, did Michael die? Did he not? And she's gonna go insane in her mind, right?
Interesting.
And maybe she's gonna think that somebody is stalking her, and so on and so on. And that could be a pretty interesting. And then maybe she might teach her kids that what Laurie did with Karen, right? We gotta protect ourselves because who knows? It could be Michael or whatever, right?
Right.
that could be interesting.
Interesting. That's more of a cerebral angle to it. I kind of like that. That's interesting. Rob, what about you?
I have two suggestions.
Okay.
I would like a remake of Halloween 3. I loved Halloween 3. When I was a kid, I hated that movie, but then I rediscovered it in college. And I was like, this isn't a bad movie. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone episode. An hour and a half Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, I want to be done with Michael Myers. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to Halloween 4, a true Halloween 5. Because now we're going on what, 34? I don't need 34 years later. 88,
31. Yeah, 34 years. Yeah.
I think you could really do something with that because they're older now. I mean, Ellie's older now. Danielle Hare's character, Jamie the character. You could really, what happened. I mean, I'm sure, she was only 9 or 10 at the time. She probably went to juvie until she was 18 and then got out.
Right.
Her name. I mean, there's a lot of. I just think you could do a lot with that. And we never got the true Halloween 5 we wanted. We got a shit show. That's what's, like you always said, Halloween 5 started this process where we're at right now.
Yeah, I've always said that. I've in terms of a franchise, because Halloween 4 was I mean, it's not like it was a critical masterpiece, but it did for that kind of a movie, it did very well at the box office. But 5 was the one that destroyed the franchise. I mean, you could say that the existence of a Halloween 2 in general is the,
Right.
Destroys the whole point of it. But certainly from a franchise perspective, 2 was, really liked. 3 was an anthology thing. 4 was liked. But 5's where it begins to kind of just this stark drop off, in quality and in story and everything. I think, and this is a guess, but based on a few factors, I think what they're likely going to do after Ends is they're not, depending on how Ends does at the box office. I mean, if Ends just tears it up and it's like 300 million, it's not going to make that. But hypothetically, if it did, well, then you might get another one with Michael Myers fast-tracked. But I think they're likely going to go the Halloween 3 route. Now, whether that means a requel, like what they've been doing, and they do a direct sequel, which I know a lot of people would love to see, or they reboot it and just remake it. I like Halloween 3. I think it's all right. I don't love it. I don't think it's amazing. So I couldn't care less whether they made anything in regards to that movie or not. And I certainly couldn't care less if they just remade it. But there's a lot of people out there that think that is blasphemous, that you don't remake it, you just do a sequel. I think they're going to do something with it because I think it's the logical choice. It's relatively low risk. It's already has a built-in fan base. It's already in the pop culture zeitgeist. It's got some awareness. And I think that's what they're going to do. Whether that's a series or a movie, I don't know. But I think watch for Halloween 3 rumblings in the next couple of years. That's what I think anyway. But so what other horror movies are you guys Friday the 13th fans? Are you Freddy fans?
I love Freddy.
You love Freddy? Theo loves Freddy. Theo, do you wish they would do the same thing with Elm Street as they have with Scream and Halloween?
Honestly, they could, but at the same time, I'd like them to do something new where maybe they're gonna remake it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Instead
you want
going to follow what Scream is doing now or what Halloween did?
Right.
It's kind of like copying everything.
I gotcha. Would you like to see? Would you like to see, say, them erase all? Not that Scream erased any of the sequels; they didn't. But Halloween certainly did. Would you like to see sort of an erase? Any of you, the three of you, how would you feel about Elm Street erasing the bad sequels, maybe going all the way back to just 3, and then doing a direct sequel to 3 where Nancy's alive somehow, and Heather Langenkamp comes back to reprise her role? How would you feel about that, Chris?
I'd be cool with it as long as you do it right.
Yeah,
that's easier said than done. But I mean, hey, everybody else is doing the erase the sequel part and just doing the reboot and direct sequel thing. So
yep.
you have to get it in the right hands. That's for sure.
You got.
I agree with Chris.
Yeah. What about you, Rob? Something you'd like to see, or meh?
I'd be down. I mean, I was, like I said, Halloween was my bread and butter, but Freddy was probably second. The first three, but after that, it kind of lost its luster. I mean, I did like Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Right.
but yeah, I could see that. But like Friday the 13th, I could never get into those movies. Let's just put it. I will say this. So I did like 2000. I did like the 2009 remake, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That was actually entertaining to me. I know it kind of hit the shits after that. We haven't had another movie since then. It's been tied up in legal messes. But if I'm going to watch a Friday the 13th movie, it would be the 2009. And even like everybody knows the original 1981 with Kevin Bacon.
Right.
Is good. I can't even get into that one. Just not my cup of tea.
It's not your cup of tea. Interesting.
Now, Dave, you're doing a nightmare film, right?
Yes, because COVID has slowed everything down. So fingers crossed that we can move into production on that this year. So that's of course with Cecil Laird and Vince and everybody down in Arizona. I know that it's just been a pain in the ass with all that, but. Hopefully we can get that moving sooner rather than later. Let's jump to the questions. Some questions that have come in. We'll jump over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. A few super chats did come in. Let me get to the super chats. And if you guys have any questions for Theo, Rob, or Chris, send them in now. Send them in now. Theo, of course, is Real Reveal in the chat. And Chris, you'll often see him in the chat as well under CM. And Rob, are you in the chat as Rob, or what are you in the chat as?
I was there, Robert, then I changed it to Rob, but I still, when it comes up, it sometimes just says Robert. So
Robert, okay.
But maybe not.
Okay, cool. All right, so the first super chat comes in from HT Story. He sends in $5. Thank you. Says, there is a Halloween fan film in the works, and the writer and director says there is a It's Me, Billy reference, and says Dave will laugh in a good way. Oh, well, that's great. I can't wait to, I had no idea. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Getting my own film's Easter egg in another movie. That's always a positive thing. Matthew Ferresi sends in $4.99, says the alternate ending read so much better. Also, Michael continuing to breathe after Lori dropped the phone is unintentionally funny. I never thought of it like that. I guess, yeah, after she drops the phone and the phone is dangling there and you just hear... I guess, yeah, I could see that, how that would be kind of...
I still think it would be funny if Lori was just punching the phone or the booth or something. Yeah. Just lost it, just like punching.
Yeah, that would be funny. Rob, what were you going to say?
But when she was carrying the knife in the hallway of the hospital, that was just over the top, too. I'm just like, there's no way that would happen in the real world. They would have, like, tackled her. I mean, that was just so stupid right there.
I find it funny in the movie. This was not cut. It was actually in the theatrical cut when Lori is running down the hall trying to get people away, and she just knees that doctor in the gut, and the doctor's like, "Blah!" And he goes out. And I remember thinking to myself, what the hell did he do? Was he going after? I can't remember. Maybe the chat room will know, but I'm just like,
I think she was just mad at the world, so she's just like,
yes.
But holding that knife is so unrealistic. I'm like, Jesus, who's editing this? I mean, like, that's where I'm always like, who's making the shots here? Because
yeah,
just don't do that.
It's very tableau-ish, right? Like it felt like, well, we ended 18 on sort of a still tableau of the knife, and we want to do the same here, and it just, yeah. I get it. I totally get it. Southpaw82 sends in $5, says, my issues with 2018 and Kills is the underuse of Carpenter. I feel he could have done so much better. I've always said my favorite scores are Howarth scores, H4 or 5. I actually really like the score to Kills. Yeah, it's one thing I forgot to ask you guys about. What did you think of the score? Was it did you notice it? Was it hard for you to to have an impact, or?
For me, it wasn't like Halloween 2018, especially the Chasing Allison score.
Right.
So well done. And like in this movie, even the remastered of the Halloween theme song, I didn't like it. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Right. What about you, Rob? Or
no, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, actually, I thought they were excellent. Both kills in 2018. That's one of the main things I did like about those movies. The score was, to me, excellent for both of them. And like the new version, I don't know if you guys think it's the same, but remember Children of the Corn, the music they had in Children of the Corn?
Yes.
New version kind of had a Children of the Corn essence to it. To me,
yeah.
it did.
Yeah, we mean with the choir,
Yeah. It sounded like Children of the Corn to me.
Yeah, I actually found the theme, the main theme in Kills, the piano, the dun 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 dun. It sounded very much like I don't know. It sounded like it was a little harsh on the keys, like almost like dun 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 dun. It sounded like it was played that way, and I wasn't I don't mind it. It's grown on me, but when I first heard it didn't strike me as anything special, I guess. And I guess we're so spoiled by, certainly we're very spoiled by that 18 soundtrack. I don't care what you thought of the movie. The soundtrack was phenomenal. And when you get to the Kill soundtrack, I think most of the tracks, when you listen to the tracks on their own, they're actually really good tracks, and they sound good. But yeah, it's interesting. Chris, what about you?
The soundtrack for Kills didn't stand out to me as much as it did in 2018. Especially like Theo said, the Allison Chase scene. Yeah. That whole that gets you from the get-go. That sticks out more than anything besides the main theme. But for this one, I don't honestly remember a whole lot from it. It might be, I think I might have just been too focused on and the kills and everything that was going on to really pay attention to it this time. It doesn't stick out to me like the 2018 soundtrack does. Right.
Were you guys like me, and after you left the movie, were you expecting more kills or more carnage? I kind of left the theater thinking, well, sure, there were a lot of kills, but I don't know. For whatever reason, I was expecting like mayhem, and when Christopher Nelson said in an Instagram post when the trailer came out and people were complaining that maybe they showed us too much in the trailer and you showed all the firefighters being killed, and Chris Nelson said, no, don't. You haven't seen anything yet. That's only. I, for whatever reason, was expecting, like him going from door to door and fucking mayhem. For some reason, it just didn't feel like a lot. Or, I mean, it was gory, sure, but I don't know. Did you guys feel that way? Chris, we'll start with you.
With that. Oh. The way Christopher Nelson said it too, I was expecting more gore, more violence, and the way we got, I think the most scene that's really did an impact for me was a scene where he gets the knife and stabs the person. His wife is watching him, do that. So that was like the most scene that kind of like scared me. Yeah. I gotcha.
Chris?
I think it had more brutality than the rest of the films, except for maybe the zombie versions. It was not as brutal as, say, like, H2, or even his first one, but it wasn't as much mayhem as I thought there might be.
Yeah, I
thought there and more just going insane, but
I think that's what I was expecting. I mean, certainly the firefighters, they got all the kills, and then I know the couple in the home with the drone. Listen, absolutely, the light being shoved into her neck, and then him, using the husband as a pincushion. I mean, certainly that's all like that's. But from there, like for me, from there, I don't know. I guess I was just expecting more. Maybe it was the pacing or how it was rolled out. Maybe it was just the order of things. I don't know. Rob?
I think it was just the beginning and the end were extremely gory, but then the middle, a couple kills here and there.
Yeah.
But it was heavy at the beginning and the end. At least that's the way I
maybe
interpreted it.
maybe that's what it was. And I was just expecting mayhem the whole way through, maybe. We got that. We got South by 82. Frank Riker sends in $5, says, for the 3 sexy associate producers on the screen, ... and Dave. Should Michael die in Ends? And if so, how? Well, we all know the 4 of us want him to die, but how is the question from Frank. So I will start with Rob. How should Michael die?
He's got to burn.
Ooh.
I mean, he's got no trace of him at all. And I think too, just seeing him in a fire, just keep burning and burning, kind of like in the original Halloween 2, 1981, but nothing like an explosion, because then he could still be alive. And I mean, I know it sounds gory and kind of sadistic, but I'm just like, watch him burn.
Right. Okay. And you know what? I would be okay with that. People have often said, well, no, because he burned in Halloween 2 and he burned at the end and we tried to burn at the end of 1. I get that, but Halloween 281 doesn't exist. So I know it exists in your mind and it does exist in an alternate universe, but it doesn't exist in this reality. So he was never lit on fire in a hospital. So I think you could do it again and have him on fire walking around and but that might not be satisfying for fans because of that. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I think the I don't know about the fire, because like you just said, Halloween 2, if they try to do something like that again, then you leave the ambiguous, like, well, they brought him back, for H4 when he was supposed to have,
right,
nothing left of him, and he's laying there hardly even scarred up in the hospital for 10 years. So I don't know about the fire. I mean, they got to come up with something creative. I don't know, rocket launcher, something like that.
See, that's why in my sequel idea, I had him burn, but I had him and Laurie burn together. Yeah. So you often forget, I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody, but the goal of that is to have the audience forget that they're watching Michael burn again because they're so caught up in the Michael and Laurie burning together. And that Laurie tackles him and they're on fire together, struggling and fighting. Both of them are on fire, burning to death. And it's the symbolism that surrounds that. And it happens in Judith Meyer's bedroom in the Myers house. And, so there's this whole thing that it becomes not just Michael burning. There's so much around it that you believe it, you buy into it because of all the symbolism. That's, if he does burn, that's how it would not necessarily in that exact way, but I think you would have to approach it that way, because if he's just burning in a hospital, then we've already been there. You know what I mean? There has to be weight and stakes to it.
Maybe this whole tower thing that they're talking, they've kind of, mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some scenario where he's chasing after Allison or something on this tower, or Laurie. Somehow they get it to where he falls off and he's several hundred feet up, and if he survives that, then let's just all give up.
Yeah.
He falls splat. His brains are on the sidewalk like the Danny DeVito in H Kills when he fell out of the building,
right,
out of the hospital.
Well, maybe he climbs up the radio tower, loses his grip, falls 150 feet. That's a hell of a radio tower, but falls 100 feet to the ground and impales himself on a Dr. Loomis statue. Can you imagine? That'd be funny. Theo, was it Theo I haven't asked yet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Michael got COVID, no, I'm just kidding. No.
Oh, can you imagine?
Because he's had a mask on for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
But no, I'm with Dave on that one. Just kind of, I want like Michael and Laurie one-on-one together at the end, whether it's fire, whether it's guns, whether it is whatever it
guns.
Is. But the end needs to be with them two fighting to the end of the battle.
I know a lot of people would disagree, but I agree. That's what I have in my sequel idea because I've always thought that, well, it began with Laurie, and I think it should end with Laurie, and I mean really end. And but again, it's how you do it. You know what I mean? It's how you do it. But yeah, that's interesting. It's a great question, Frank. Thank you for that. Matthew Feresi sends in $4.99, says, well, I don't want too many callbacks. I'd like to see Michael behead Laurie with an axe in a role reversal of H2O. They would never do that, though. What would you guys think of that if Michael Myers beheads Laurie in a role reversal?
I'd stand up and cheer.
At least we got rid. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, why? And not to get on a sidetrack, but like if they go in another direction after Ends, why does Laurie Strode have to be in all these Halloween movies? Can't we have a different? Still have Michael Myers in it, but no Laurie Strode. Just a totally different. Haddonfield family, or whatever you want to call it. But why does Laurie Strode have to be in all these movies? Whether you reboot, requel, whatever. I mean, I'll be okay with that.
I would be okay if Laurie dies. If she doesn't die at the hands of Michael, how would you guys feel about her dying, sacrificing herself to save Allison? So it's almost like a passing of the torch in that sense that Allison is in trouble. There's a big epic thing that's happening and she sacrifices herself to save Allison. That's not necessarily the end of the movie, but it's a big moment. How would you guys feel about that? Rather than Laurie just kind of like, being killed.
That's how I envision it, is she's going to go out some way, where maybe Michael's about to, take out Allison, almost like what Karen did, stabbing him with a pitchfork. But, Laurie has to step in and she's going to save Allison by sacrificing herself. If there's some way that she can do that, maybe, in a way to take out Michael. I don't know how, but where they both go out at the same time, or soon, Michael goes soon after that. Somewhere where she can sacrifice herself in a way that's going to lead to them being able to take out Michael.
Interesting. I like that. Rob?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's, saving her and, like I said, some sort of creative way, or not just a shoehorned in type of way to save her. Like just stepping in front of her. It's got to be some meaning to it.
Gotcha.
I'm all for that.
Cool.
Or
Theo?
even she might just want revenge for her daughter, right?
Right.
She might just not even care about, not necessarily care about Allison, but but what if Allison, Laurie, and Michael die at the end of the movie?
What if Allison, Laurie, Michael, and Lindsay all die together of COVID? No. Can you imagine that was the end of the movie? Oh,
yeah, it's
man.
like the end.
The end, that's it. That would be fascinating. Okay, let's see here. Kevin L sends in $4.99, says, in Halloween Ends, do you think Michael Myers will die from the Transformer variant? He's just basically Omicron. I think we all hope not. Let's just put it that way.
They'll run out of ideas if that's how it goes down.
Man, that's going to suck. That's going to really suck. Happy Sanjo sends in $5, says, if you don't ask these guys about the aliens in crop circles, I'm going to freaking be pissed, slap my ass off. I don't know if you guys saw that. I posted a video just a little while ago about aliens and crop circles. What do you think? Aliens, crop circles, human made, not human made? What do you think?
I think a lot of them have been proven to be hoaxes. Especially
a lot of them have.
So I'd say a hoax.
You say a hoax? The only reason why I don't know if you saw it, but I put up a video, like I said, about 3 or 4 hours ago. There's this crop circle. It's probably about 20 years old now. And I think it's from the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. It is ridiculous. It is, all these circles, it's perfection. The intricacy of this is absolute perfection. It is huge, and it's all these big circles, little circles, this spitting stuff and everything. It is unreal. And like I said in my video, it's not that that's humanly impossible, but if I'm supposed to believe that this thing appeared in a farmer's field in the middle of the night in one night, and you're telling me that 4 guys with board and ropes with some flashlights and measuring tape went out there and did that, I find that extraordinarily hard to believe. I think you could go out in the middle of the night and make a crop circle. I think you can go out in the middle of the night and make 2 or 3 crop circles. But if you're like doing intricate mathematical equations in a crop circle at 3 o'clock, sneaking around, you know, in the dark from the ground, and you look at it from above and it is perfection, I just find that so hard to believe. I want these people to come forward. I want them to come forward and say, we did this and we're going to show you how we did it. And then some farmer gives up his wheat field, you know, for like, you know, however long they need it. And they go out there and we watch it happen in real time. Because that's the only way I'm going to be convinced that those massively intricate with all different types of stuff, which is symmetrically perfect. Like it is absolutely perfection, was done by a couple of guys in the middle of the night with with boards and flashlights sneaking around in a spot where they're not supposed to be. I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm just saying it's aliens. Okay.
Here in the U.S., is it U.S., Canada, overseas? Where is it at?
I think this one was overseas. We have had a few of them here in Canada, out in the prairies, out in Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, out there where there's a lot of farmland. But this particular one, I think a lot of the crop circles happen in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. At least a lot of them have over the years. Some even close to Stonehenge, which is kind of eerie. But this one in my video, I wish I could bring it up. Let me just see if I can.
I missed the video. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm going to. Oh, you saw it? Well, you see what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Like, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Let me just.
I was going to ask you if someone had claimed that particular crop circle. So
I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know. But let me just. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. So I don't know if you guys. Rob, are you able to look at the actual live feed or no?
Yeah, I can bring it on my phone.
Okay, I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is, if you are into this kind of shit and stuff, you'll probably recognize it. It is real. It was, I think this photo again is like something like, I don't know, 20 years old. It's not new. This is one of the most famous ones ever created. It's not Photoshop. It's legit. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, now look at the field and look at the size of the crop circle. It is perfection. And you're telling me, I'm not saying it's humanly impossible. I could believe if, 20 guys and gals went out there in the middle of the day and were creating it and maybe it took a day or two. Sure. But I just find it so hard to believe that I'm supposed to believe that these were hoaxers in the middle of the night with tape measure and some flashlights and some boards and rope. I mean, really? Holy shit.
Yeah. It
Holy
doesn't
shit.
look like one unsolved mystery. It's like the ones that were hoaxes. This looks nothing.
No. This is, and again, it's crazy. I want to see the guys who did this, or gals, maybe it was a bunch of women, I don't know. But I want to see the people who did this come forward and say it was us and we're going to do it again. Because, I mean, look at all those circles. Can you imagine trying to do this at night?
They look like bubbles.
Yeah.
They do.
It's unreal. It's unreal. I mean, maybe it's because I failed math a lot in my life that I just can't comprehend actually putting that together. And I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm just saying it's aliens. Okay. Let's see if we can.
You never know.
You never know. You never, ever know. Hey, listen, there's no evidence that it was aliens, but there's no evidence that it wasn't aliens.
They do say there's more life out there.
There you go. There you go. Happy Sanjo follows up with $5. Says, Dave and other people on the stream, what's your guys' opinion on Lost, the TV show? I've only seen a few episodes of Lost. Did you guys ever watch Lost back in the day?
Never watched it.
Never watched.
I did.
You did? What'd you think of it, Rob?
I loved the show until the end.
Till the
I
end.
waited 6 years for that. It wasn't a crappy ending, but we deserved more than that. I thought it was just kind of a lazy type of ending.
Right.
And I think too, like when they started that show, I don't really think they had an ending in mind. I mean, it's like the show just kept going and going. I mean, I could be wrong on that.
Right.
But it kept going and going, and it's just like, how are we going to end this thing? And yeah, it was just, it was kind of like, I'm a big Mad Men fan too.
Right.
Love that show. The same thing. We waited 1.5 years for the final season, and just to end it that way, just very sloppy. I don't think much time was put into it. But then when you think about it, there's not many great, to me, series endings. To me, the best one is probably Newhart from, I think it was the Newhart.
Newhart, Bob Newhart?
Yeah.
We're showing our age now.
Was we are.
You and me, Rob.
Was that the one Newhart where he wakes up and it was a dream?
And
his wife from the original Newhart show from the 70s was Liam.
Yeah, Suzanne Plachette. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember that. And that was Daryl and my other brother Daryl.
Yeah.
That was a great show. That was a great show. Yeah, that was a great show.
You ever notice how many like great shows in the last 20 years, you know, they have these great runs and they can't stick the landing?
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
I think my kids, if my kids are listening right now, they know exactly.
Oh, wait a minute, Rob. We've lost your. Or sorry, Chris. We've lost your audio. Your video's there, but we can't hear you. Hang on. We'll see if he. No, we've lost. Hello.
Come on, computer.
Oh wait, there you go. You're good. You're good.
Oh, I apologize. Did you guys hear any of that?
Well, we did. We up to the point where you said my kids, and then you cut out. So your kids. What show?
So my kids probably they know exactly what I'm going to say here, but I think Breaking Bad's the one show that nailed it.
Oh, that was a good one. That's a good call. That's a good one.
But you.
Oh wait, we lost you again, Chris. We lost you again. We lost you again. We'll wait. We'll see maybe if your computer kicks back in. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We'll just see if it kicks back in a moment. But Breaking Bad, I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad. I know it's blasphemous to people out there. I understand that.
I've never seen Breaking Bad either.
But I hear it's great. I hear it's great. I think most shows hardly stick the landing because there's just so much. There's so many expectations. And it's very difficult. For whatever reason, we feel that the ending, the final episode of a really popular show needs to somehow be bigger than all the other episodes that have preceded it. And I think that's where they end up failing. I think it happened with Seinfeld. Not that the last episode of Seinfeld was awful, but I don't think it was, it was kind of weird. There's a lot of sitcoms from the 80s and the 90s that kind of had that. One of the, but I think if you just sort of, I think if more shows just kind of do, and I guess there's the expectation they got to have some sort of big thing. I get it. But I would much rather see a show just firm and steady, just carry it to the finish line, where the final episode is just as good as it's not crazy. They don't go off the wall, or they're not doing anything weird or huge or some big reveal or anything. It's just a steady, good show like all the other shows have been, and it brings it to a conclusion. I would much rather see that than a series try to, oh my God, it's the last episode. We need to write something that's like, whoa, holy shit, that somehow is like way bigger. Because 9 times out of 10, you just don't, it doesn't work. Do you guys feel that way?
I agree. Because I think the most even keel that I've seen is Everybody Loves Raymond. That finale was nothing spectacular, but it was good.
Frasier too, I think.
Yeah, Big Bang Theory did the same thing. Nothing spectacular, but a good way to end it.
Yeah.
But then some like I'm dating myself, but like kid of the '80s, like Different Strokes, Facts of Life.
Yeah.
They didn't really. They were canceled, so they didn't have a chance to have that finale.
That's
type
it.
of thing. So again,
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that's right. When I was, cheers. Facts of life. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. I actually.
Growing Pains was okay.
Hey,
like the end.
Right.
Show 2.5 Men was good, like the ending.
2.5 Men, but it was no Charlie Sheen. Well, no, he kind of came back, sort of, not
Yeah,
really.
a little.
Didn't they step on him or something? I can't remember.
His piano fell on him and crushed him.
I mean, I would say even like ER after 15 years, it was a decent ending. Nothing spectacular, but pretty even keeled.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, cool. Let's see here. We have a super chat that came. Oh, a couple of them came in. No, got that one. And then Steve Evans sends in $4.99. Says, I hope DGG, David Gordon Green, and Blumhouse do a better job with the new Exorcist trilogy than they have with Halloween. Any thoughts or predictions? Gentlemen, first of all, how do you feel about The Exorcist, the original 1973? And are you excited with this direction here from Blumhouse and The Exorcist? Theo, we'll start with you.
I mean, if they do a good job, like, go for it. You know, just shoot high in the sky and you never know what's going to happen, right? But the original, I remember the first time I saw it, it was like in the very beginning of the scene, or very beginning of the movie, there was like a little bit of Greek talk in there. I'm like, holy shit, that scared me more than the movie because I could understand what they were saying. And I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
But yeah, no, the original, I don't think they can ever top that, but they can try. I mean, David Gordon Green and Blumhouse, they showed what they could do with Halloween. Now it's time to show what they can do with The Exorcist.
I think if Halloween Kills had been more loved, I think people would be more optimistic and excited. But I think because Halloween was so divisive, you know, people are a little worried about it. I know I am. But we'll see. We'll see. Chris, are you able to talk now, Chris?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I was never the biggest Exorcist fan. I saw.
Oh no, we lost you, Chris. We lost you again. We lost you again, Chris. I don't know why we keep losing you. Why do we keep losing Chris? What is going on?
Maybe if he leaves the call and joins back.
Yeah, maybe if you were to leave and come back, maybe you think that would help?
Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try. Okay, wait.
Let's give it a try. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We can hear you now, but you can always give it a try.
We'll try and rejoin.
Okay.
1 second.
All right. All right. You'll come back. And when he comes back, Theo, I will move you over. It looks a little strange at the moment. That's because of the Zoom thing. When he comes back, we'll rearrange it. Rob, what about you?
I finally saw Exorcist probably about 10 years ago. So when I had seen it, I had seen so many movies like that because everyone was copying that type of movie like in the 80s, 90s. So I thought it was okay, but again, nothing special. However, there was a series on Fox in 2016 called The Exorcist, and it was kind of a continuation of the first one. There's kind of a twist at the halfway season finale. It wasn't like a season finale, but it ended up canceled like in 2017. But I thought that series was really good on Fox. It started in 2016.
I heard about that, but it was unfortunately canceled. I'm a big fan of the original Exorcist. I saw it for the first time when I was like, I don't know, 10 or whatever it was, or maybe I was a bit older. No, I was a bit older actually. But I really like it a lot. Actually, I like the slow burn. Like it's not even the green slime and the face transformation is fantastic, but it's the slow burn and the build up to that there's some genuinely frightening. It's just eerie. It's creepy and it's eerie and I like the way it's paced and the way it's shot, which is great. And it's.
I heard the third one was really good too.
It is. Yes, the third one is really good. The Heretic, the second one.
Yeah, I heard that shit.
Crap. Yeah, no, the third one is really good with George C. Scott. Chris, all right, let's try this again. Your thoughts on The Exorcist? We can.
It's a miracle. All right. I'd say I got into the game late. I probably didn't see that until about 20 years ago, the original. I enjoyed it, but I think I was just so desensitized by everything I'd seen before that with the slasher movies. It was like, okay, I get it. It was supposed to be scary, but it didn't wow me.
Right.
The third one, I like the third one. That scene, everybody knows the jump scare scene with the headless thing with whatever those things were, those clippers, that look like giant hedge clippers or something.
Yeah.
That's a classic. I mean, that actually, I can remember scaring the crap out of me when I was younger. And then the prequels, didn't need them.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything for me. So I don't have any excitement for, any sequels or anything in the Exorcist franchise. So
just kind of, it is what it is. We'll see how it is, kind of thing. Yeah.
I might give it a watch, but I'm not like, I don't think I'd be in the theater day one.
Right. It's a tall order. I mean, he's making a direct sequel. He's essentially going all the way back to the beginning, and I don't know. We'll see. But the thing that is that they've greenlit 3. Well, I mean, the plan is to make 3 of them. And I'm just like, 3. Jesus, I don't know.
Was that something like $400 million that they were getting to do this whole trilogy?
I don't think that's the production budget. I think it's $400 million was the rights. I think perhaps something like that, or the streaming rights, or something. There was something. Yeah, it's not the production budget, so it's not like each movie is going to be like $100 million or something like that, or $110 million. It's not the production budget. It's something else. The rights to the franchise or the IP or the streaming or something to that degree. The production budget on The Exorcist will probably be like, 30 million, 40 million or something like that. Maybe a bit less. Who knows? All right. We got to wrap this up in a moment here, but let me just get the last couple of super chats. Our last one here. Booster Seat sends in $5, says, excluding Halloween 1 and 2, The Thing, Fog, and They Live, why are John Carpenter films so funky and wacky? He kind of has a Western thing going on. Well, I think he's well, I mean...
Was he a fan of the Westerns, though?
He was. He was, Rob, yeah. A Big Trouble in Little China, for sure. I don't really get a Western vibe from In the Mouth of Madness or Village of the Damned or even Prince of Darkness, though. I really only get it really kind of with, vampires, maybe? What do you guys think? What are your favorite John Carpenter movies? Theo?
Christine. I love Christine.
I
heard they're going to be remaking it. It's like, I think it's going to be so perfect. It doesn't need to remain.
Amazing.
Why? Yeah, they don't need to remake that.
Yeah. But that and Halloween is the only John Carpenter movies I've seen.
Wow.
So I got to catch up on.
You got to catch up. You got to watch The Fog. The Fog doesn't get enough love. The Thing usually is people's second favorite, and rightly so. I get it. It's probably his most mature film, I would say, in terms of the production value and the look and everything. And it's a good movie, but I think The Fog is my second favorite Carpenter film. Love the soundtrack, love the vibe of it.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, right?
She is in it. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and so is what's his face, Tom Atkins, and Tom Atkins plays a guy named Nick Castle. So, gee, I wonder where they got that from. And Jamie Lee Curtis's mother is in it as well, Janet Leigh, and Adrienne Barbeau, of course. I think it's a great movie. I mean, listen, it's not the Shawshank Redemption, but I just mean that I think it's a good film. You know what I mean? One that gets overlooked a lot. What about you, Chris?
Obviously Halloween. I love The Fog. I think The Fog actually, when I saw it when I was much younger, The Fog actually scared me more than Halloween did. And then obviously The Thing. But you guys are going to laugh at me. One of my favorite Carpenter movies is not one of his horror movies. And it's not Big Trouble in Little China. It's Starman.
I love Starman. I was a big fan. as a kid in the 80s, I was a big fan of the, I don't think it was very good. I mean, I was a kid, but the TV show Starman.
I remember it.
Yeah.
Robert Hayes, right?
That's right. That's right. And I remember it used to, I think it only lasted a season maybe or two tops.
Something like that.
And I remember I used to watch it, and my mom had this little, I can't remember, we had a color TV in the, it's so funny to say this, isn't it? We had a color TV in the basement, and in my mother's room was this like 13-inch black and white TV. And I think that's where it's funny now that I think about it, that's where I used to watch a lot of shows. It was in my mother's room on black and white. It just didn't faze me for whatever. I can't remember where I watched. I was a big fan too of that show with Linda Hamilton and what's his face? Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Beauty.
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. Really liked that show. But Rob, what are your favorite Carpenter films?
Pretty much the same. Halloween and The Fog are probably my two go-tos. Prince of Darkness is good. And yeah, but Chris, I didn't think anyone would say Starman, but I remember watching that as a kid. And I haven't watched it in a while, but I just remember I did like that movie.
Yeah, it's a great film. Yeah, it's a really good film. All right. Well, listen, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of McRae Live. I want to thank my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber. You guys are amazing. Thank you to the Super Chat questions that came in today. Really appreciate that. And, of course, thank Rob and Chris and Theo. Stick around for a moment after I'm going to say, oh, thank you, guys, goodbye. But we'll have more of a formal goodbye afterwards, so don't unless you really got to go to the bathroom or something and you got to skedaddle. Totally understand, but I want to thank you guys for coming on. This was a lot of fun. It's not every day that you get to sort of chit chat and kibitz back and forth with your viewers, and I think this was really a lot of fun and get to know you guys as well. And I'm very happy that you also enjoyed the film. So thank you for coming on
the show here, and you for making It's Me Billy, excellent film that you guys have to see if you have not seen it. It's on YouTube. And yeah, no, Dave, you have brought me through my hard times watching your content, helped me through that, and I appreciate that I found your channel during Halloween 2018. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Theo. Appreciate that. Appreciate it very much. All right, so that is going to do it. Amazing. You guys are awesome. Rob, Chris, sincerely, really appreciate it. And guys, I will be back soon. Tony and I, of course, will be back Monday night on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, talking. Well, I won't tell you what it is, but it's interesting. It's another what if scenario. So make sure you tune into that 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, there goes my light. See, my light just turned out. That means get the fuck off the air. I think it only lasts like 2 hours, so I think that's what that means. Yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. And let me see. I gotta get the Patreon card ready to go here. Have a great rest of your night, and we will talk to you soon. Alrighty, cheers.